And welcome back to the channel where we talk about everything U.S. markets, U.S. headlines. We break it down in trading view. We do the fundamentals, the analysis, and chart patterns. We do some indicators, and we make it fun. It's educational, and we're here to have fun too. So, having said that, let's do it. Welcome, welcome. So here we are. Okay, one of the first items we have up for today in the headlines is Nebius. What is Nebius? Well, Nebius right now, their stock just jumped up 14% because NVDA just invested $2 billion into them. They're an artificial intelligence cloud company. We'll be talking more about them in just a minute. That's one of the headlines. Another one is Meta. Meta, what's Meta doing? Well, right now, Meta rolls out in-house AI chips after massive NVIDIA AMD deals. They revealed 4 customized in-house chips. We'll be talking about them as well. Also, what's another one? Google. We'll talk about Google because Google has also been developing their own in-house silicon to fill data centers as they seek alternative cost supply constraints with GPUs from NVIDIA and AMD. That's coming up. Another one, Amazon. Amazon's in the news because they have their Zoox partners, their Zoox robotaxi partner, partnering up with Uber, so they can reach more riders, and they're working out in Las Vegas and Los Angeles. So that's coming up. Look at these little cute toaster oven cars there. And also, we'll talk a little bit about the CPI, or the CPI, as some people like to say, Consumer Price Index, how that's changed, what's going on with that. Also, Adlation slashes 10%, my God, or 1,600 jobs from its workforce to self-fund investments in AI and enterprise sales. We'll be talking about that. Also, another Google is that Google is also combining Astound Broadband and forming its independent fiber provider. As you can see here, we'll talk a little bit about them. And also, one more thing that we'll just touch on is oil, my God. Touching $100 again as Iran ramps up shipping attacks in the Persian Gulf. This is not a this is not a political channel, just sharing the news here. So having said that, those are all coming up in this live stream. Enjoy, and here we go. Dun, 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 dun. Yes, Anissa, how are you? Welcome, welcome to the channel. Good to have you here. By the way, we're going to be going into some of the tickers, some analysis. If you have a question about a ticker or want me to get ready to listen, right, Anissa, very good. Yeah, feel free to make any comments you like, or if you have a question, that's fine too. Let's go deeper into this article. Okay, again, this is not a script. I spend copious amounts of time taking notes on the headlines to bring you the listening entertainment. There you go. So just for you, Anissa. Okay, and Nvidia stocks jumps up 14% on Nvidia's $2 billion investment. Nebius is basically an AI cloud company, and they're going to collaborate on the AI infrastructure design and support. Nvidia will also give Nebius early access to the newest generation computing platform. They will deploy more than 5 gigawatts of capacity by 2030. Together, they are scaling the cloud to meet global demand for AI. Oh boy. So here we are. Let's take a look here at Nebius. If we look here at Trading View, we'll break these down one by one. We have more articles to go into, and then we break them down on Trading View. So here we go. Nebius right there. To give you a little bit more information about Nebius, what is Nebius? If you look it up on Google, well, it's Nebius Group is a Netherlands-based artificial intelligence native cloud platform specializing in providing high-performance GPU infrastructure for training and deploying AI models. Formerly part of, let's see, they've recently secured $2 billion with NVIDIA. Some of the key aspects: infrastructure as a service, core offerings, all factory services, etc., etc. So yeah, that's a little bit about them. And let's go here in Nebius. Let me change some of my settings here so that you can see them better. Dun, dun, dun. There we go. This is the 1 minute chart. For example, I have a 1 minute chart and I also have a 1 day chart, so you can see the difference because sometimes it's easier to see patterns on 1 day or easier to see patterns on 1 minute. It just depends, and I can show you what I mean here in just a minute. So here's the 1 day. Yeah. Okay, now here we go. Looking at the 1 day first, let me show you this. Couple things right here. Dun, dun, dun. Relative strength index. You can see that right behind me. See the arrow? Right now, that's sitting at about 50, 61 right there. Not exactly neutral, but not exactly overbought either. So that's why you see up here with on the price chart. You can see it's rising a little bit, but not too much. Actually, if you look right here, if you compare it with the RSI, here's your RSI. It's almost like it's pretty stable right there, and that's exactly what you see in this price chart right here. It's like kind of consolidating right there, as you can see. It goes up and it goes down, but it's the same amount. So you can call that the invisible ceiling, the invisible support. You can call that, consolidation, continuation, etc. There it is, and so that's one chart pattern. And actually, you can see it's been consolidating, for about, let's see, it's been consolidating here for a while. You see that? That's the whole chart right there, consolidating. Now let me give you another one. So that's the RSI right there, relative strength index. I'll give you more of a barometer on that one. Here, if I give you an arrow, this is what we think of as the generally overbought line. That's the 70 line. And right here, this is the 30. The 30, the generally oversold line. This is my first time learning about this. Oh, Anissa, well, no problem. Welcome, welcome. That's what we're here for. This is an educational channel, Anissa. We don't sell, we don't suggest, we don't do any of that stuff. This is just here for your information. So, the price charts, the MACD, the relative strength index. Just listen and enjoy it. And if you have a question, feel free to ask, etc. But yeah, this is an indicator called the relative strength index. This line is the overbought, oversold line. But again, what I want to point out here is that these things can go way above overbought. See how this arrow here is way up here? It goes way up to 80, 83 before it ever market corrects and comes down. So these are just guides. They're not to be taken as face value is what I'm trying to point out. The same thing down here. The oversold line, it can go way oversold before it ever market corrects and comes back up. Same thing with overbought, way overbought before it market corrects. So it's just a guide. The same thing with the moving average, convergence, divergence, the MACD. That's this right here. When the blue MACD line crosses the orange signal line going down, that's generally the idea that the price chart's going to go down. When it crosses going up, the idea is generally the price chart's going to, when it crosses going up against the signal line, the price chart's going to go up too. Again, these things have disadvantages, they have flaws, so they're just guides. One of the flaws with the MACD is that it has a lag, especially when there's less price action. So what I mean is when there is more price action, there's usually less lag. When there's less price action, there's going to be more lag in when it crosses when it's supposed to cross, okay? Now let me give you a couple of chart patterns to keep in mind. So here, this is the 1 day chart. If you look right here, bang, here is a, we call it double top. You see it goes up and it loses momentum, comes down, tries to come back up, and then it loses momentum and bang, the sellers take over. That is a very characteristic double top right there. And this part right here, this is what we call the neckline for the double top. So it's what we call the breakout point. So when it breaks that, that's the breakout point, and it does break out and go down farther, if you can see that. So that double top with the breakout point. Now, for example, let's look at some more chart patterns. And let me show you some fun ones that actually really break out. For example, you can see this right here. It's not really big, but here, if you look at that arrow, there's a top right there. You can kind of see it right there. And then right here, you can see a left shoulder and a right shoulder. Maybe you can right there. That's head and shoulders. And you can see head and shoulders. And then let me draw you the neckline. The neckline right here, dun dun dun. And then bang, it breaks out right there. Breaks out right there, bang, goes down. So head and shoulders with a neckline breakout. That's that. And sometimes these things don't actually break out. Sometimes they just have the pattern. This is the 1 day. Let me see if I can get you another one. Nebulous. No. There's not too much going on here. Let me go over here to the. Let me show you how the one nebulous, the 1 minute, how that will change things. Remove all these. Now, if you notice here, this is the 1 minute time frame. The other one was the 1 day time frame. That's how this looks different. Gary, welcome to the channel. This is an educational channel, so we talk about everything U.S. markets and U.S. headlines. And here we go. And we're looking at the chart patterns right now on Nebulous Group. If I can find some good ones that jump out here. Here we go. Oh, here's one. For example, here is your here's your head, left shoulder, right shoulder, head, left shoulder, right shoulder, head and shoulders. Here's your neckline right there, neckline, and then it breaks out and goes down, right? There you go. That's one of them. Again, this is on the 1 minute, so it shows you different patterns in the 1 day. Now, one thing, let's go back here to beginning. I'll show you also how, for example, right here, if you look at these volume bars right here, see how there's more volume here? These are the volume bars. They represent more volume trading. That means there's more trading, because also if you look at the price chart behind it, there's more price action, okay? So keep in mind that the volume of trading also correlates with sometimes the price action, okay? So there's that. And here's, again, the 1 day chart. It does look different. Keep in mind that right now, for example, here, the RSI is sitting right over here at 58, so it's still pretty neutral. So right here, you might expect to have more consolidation on the price chart right here, unless something happens to make the catalyst to break it out. But there's that. Fundamentals wise, volume right now is at 4 million, 4.05 million. Market cap is at 27.3 billion. And if we go here to some of the earnings, oh, here's one. I wanted to show you this before we leave this chart. For example, if you look right here, see this volume bar that I put with my arrow right there, that volume bar? The volume, the amount of volume goes way up because this chart pattern has a lot of price action right there. So there's that. Let's go here to the fundamentals. This is what we call the earnings. Earnings is basically just what they brought in, and you compare it to what they brought in compared to what they were expected to bring in. And there's quarterly, there's annually, there's both. So for example, looking at quarterly, it depends on your strategy if you want to use quarterly or annually. Generally, it's better to look at annually because quarterly is too short to get, anything from it. But some people, for their strategy, they also want to look at quarterly. It just depends on what you're doing and how you're doing it. So Q4, the blue part, as you see, is what they actually brought in. The gray is what was expected. Even though it's negative, it was less negative than it was expected, so it beat the earnings report. Same thing here, it's less negative than what was expected, so it beat the earnings report. Same thing here, less negative than what was expected, so it beat the earnings report. Go to annually, this is a little bit different. Annually worked out a little bit different. 2025, as the year, 2025 was more negative than expected, so it missed missed the earnings, so had bad earnings that year. And 2024 also was terrible compared to expected. 2023 was the year they had a good earnings report and they beat the expectations. Now, earnings is one thing, but what about the profits? What about the income? What about that stuff? Well, click on statements, go to the annual button, and you'll see how it lines up right there. You have revenue, gross profit, operating income, pre-tax income, and net income. Now, this does not look so good either. 2025, as you can see right behind me, net income, operating income, and gross profit were all negative. However, total revenue and pre-tax income were good. Now let's look at 2024, okay? 2024, total revenue, gross profit were both good, all in the green. However, operating income, pre-tax income, and net income were all red, all negative, okay? Now 2023 was all negative in the red for all of those. So that being said, it wasn't very good for the revenue, the profits, or the earnings for Nebius recently. Some people do enjoy to look at the forecast. The forecast, I don't though. I don't put too much salt into this, simply because I don't know where they get this information, and I don't know what influences it, stuff like that. But back to the chart. Let's go now to NVDA. Why? Because NVDA is the one that actually invested $2 billion into Nebius. So Nebius gets $2 billion from NVIDIA. So let's look at NVIDIA right here. NVIDIA. And welcome to those of you joining. This is the channel where we talk about everything U.S. markets, U.S. headlines, and we make it fun. We promise not to put you to sleep. And this is not a sales channel; it's an educational channel. So there's no suggestions, no. Hold on one second. Yeah, we don't make suggestions, we don't persuade, things like that. This is here mainly to give you the information that you need to help you on your way. There you go. Okay, now let's take a look at this. Okay, here's NVIDIA. I have for you the 1 minute chart right here. I also have for you the one day chart right here. Why the 1 minute? Why the 1 day? Because you get different pieces of information from looking at different times. NVIDIA invested $30 billion in OpenAI and supplied at least 10 gigawatts of compute power in 2025. Partnerships to deploy tens of gigawatts for the next generation models. So here we are, NVIDIA right now. If we're looking at the 1 day chart, here we go. 48, 49 is the relative strength index. You can see right there, very, very neutral. And as you can see, it's been neutral. RSI has been neutral for a while. Right here. And RSI has been neutral right here. Right there. Neutral right there, neutral right there. And what you want to see is the RSI is neutral between around 50 down to about 40. So up here, you're going to see consolidation. You see the invisible ceiling, you see the invisible floor. That's what we call, the invisible resistance or the invisible support or consolidation, continuation, whatever you want to call it. It just means that it's not moving, it's just going up and down the same amount, okay? And here we are. Now let me show you some chart patterns that jump out at me right now. You can see right here, you have the head, and then you have the left shoulder, and you have the right shoulder. Head, left shoulder, right shoulder. This is the head and shoulders chart, but it's supposed to break out and go down, but in this case it doesn't break out, okay? And right, 1 day. Oh, here's one that jumps out. here is your double top. You see my circle, there's the double top. And let me get rid of some of these bars. Here's your double top. And then right here, the double top, this is what we call the neckline. So the neckline right there, double top, neckline. And then yes, it does break out and go down. A double top means it's gonna, instead of going up, it's gonna stop going up and it's gonna break out and go down. There we go. And if we look right here, you can see, well, here's your, we can go to the next article, next chart. That's the idea. Right here also you can kind of see, boom, boom, boom. Here's the reverse, not reverse, but you have the double top, and then right there you have the double bottom. And that happens a lot. You have on one side the double top to bring it down, on the other side you have the double bottom to bring it up. Just like a lot of times you'll have a head and shoulders to make it go down, and the reverse head and shoulders to make it go up. A lot of these patterns reverse each other back and forth. There's that, and then, for example, you can see right here, this is a head, left side, right side, a head and shoulders, and this one breaks out and goes down. Head, left shoulder, right shoulder, and then there's the neckline breakout right there. And then if you look at the 1 minute chart, yeah, you can see different patterns that show up here. Dun, dun, dun. And I want you to notice here that when you have more trade volume, see these are the volume bars, see those volume bars? There's more volume bars here because, or the volume bars are higher because you'll see that right here there's more trade volume right there, okay? Exactly right here, there's more trade volume right there. And dun, dun, dun. Here. And then here, as you can see, here is another double bottom right here, double bottom right there, double bottom right there, but it doesn't really break out. It's supposed to go double bottom and go up, but it just comes back up and then goes back down. It doesn't break out. So there's lots of chart patterns that don't actually break out, okay? Let's see, here's one I want to show you. These are kind of tricky because watch right here. This, if I zoom in, this could almost look like a double top, right? So maybe, but if I zoom out, it gets kind of tricky. So if I zoom out, this looks like a big head right here with, here's your left shoulder, and then here's your right shoulder, right? So again, the chart can look different when you zoom in or zoom out and when you put it on different time frames. That's why I suggest zooming in and zooming out and using different time frames because you'll see it different ways, all right? Now let's go back here to, okay, that's NVDA. We've taken a look at that. Let's go back here now so right now the volume is at 36.7 million and the market cap is at 4.4 trillion, okay? And if we go here to earnings, right here, earnings, you have the quarterly part and you have the annual part. So for example, looking at the quarterly, you have Q4 right here, here's Q4. And as you can see, the blue bar is higher than the gray bar. So what they actually recorded for earnings is higher than what they were expecting. Q3, what they earned, what they reported on earnings was higher than expectations also. Same with Q2. Now annually, it's the same thing. Annually, 2025 as a whole, not a quarter, as a whole, earned more than expected. So that looks very strong for NVIDIA. 2024, the same. 2023, also the same. They always earn more. They always earn more for the year than were expected. So that looks strong. Now, why do you care? Why do you care if there was more earnings or not? Well, earnings is one of the things that helps to determine if the company is healthy, if it's strong, if it's doing what it's supposed to and bringing in revenue, bringing in income. Um, and there is a difference between earnings and income and profit and revenue, and I'll show you that in just a minute. But if earnings is one of the things that is important to you when making your decisions about a company, here's some information about that. Statements wise, here we go. You want to hit the annual button, and then, for example, statements. When you're looking at 2023, 2024, and 2025, all three of those years right there for revenue, gross profit, operating income, net income, all of those were green positive right there, as you can see. So in this case, not always, but in this case, for NVIDIA, their revenue and their profit and income look good, and so did their earnings. So that's interesting. Now that's Nebius and NVIDIA. Now we have to check out Meta. Why are we looking at Meta? Because, let me change this 1 second. Chart. Here, Meta, for example, rolls out their in-house AI chips weeks after massive NVIDIA AMD deals. Now let's expand into that a little bit, okay? Welcome to everyone who's joining. This is the channel where we talk about everything U.S. markets, U.S. headlines. We make it fun. We also do the breakdown on TradingView with the chart patterns, fundamentals, and the indicators. And here, right now, we're getting into Meta. Meta rolls out in-house AI chips after massive NVIDIA AMD deals. Meta revealed four custom in-house chips tailored for AI-related tasks as part of the company's data center expansion plans, and they have specialized silicon as part of the Meta Training and Inference Accelerator (MTIA) family of chips by designing custom chips, which are then made by TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor. Meta can squeeze more price per performance across data center fleet rather than having to rely on only vendors, okay? Now it also provides more diversity for the silicon supply and insulates insulates them from price changes, okay? So Meta's AI spending spree also includes data centers in Louisiana and another one in Ohio and Indiana. And they're also, on top of that, they're also looking at lease space at Stargate in Texas after OpenAI and Oracle scrapped their expansion plans, okay? That's a little bit about Meta right now. So let's take a look at them. Break them down here on TradingView. Here is Meta on the, this is the 1 minute time frame. And let's see right here. And this is Meta. Oh, here we go. Here is Meta. Hold on 1 second. Let me bring this down, make it more usable. Yeah, so here's Meta on the 1 day chart. Okay, this is the 1 day chart. Here's Meta on the 1 minute chart. Why do I have two charts? Because that way you can see the difference between which patterns show up when and how the indicators look at different times. So you can compare to see what might do well or what might be really correct or what might be really wrong, a mistake. So let's look here. Here's a little update on Meta. Right here on TradingView, you can see there's an update bar right there. Meta filed for up to 300 or 30 billion in bonds in October 2025 to fund AI infrastructure, and CapEx rose 73% year over year as it scales AI for personalized services. Yes, so there's that. Now let's look right here. One thing I want to show you here, if you see these bars right here, see these bars? These are the trading volume bars. Now you'll notice that there's more trade volume when there's more price action in the charts, okay? So look at that trade volume, look at the price action, and then you have more volume there. So just be aware of that. And let me show you some of these chart patterns, and I'll explain a little bit more about the indicators down here. So for example, right here, the RSI is sitting here at 47. The RSI is sitting here at 47. If you see that, 47 relative strength index, what that means is it has become neutral. It's in the neutral area. It's become more stable. So you can see that correlated in the price chart right here. See, it's very, very neutral there. Now, one other thing I want to show you is that we just came off a, basically here is a head, and here is a left shoulder, here's a right shoulder, a head, left shoulder, right shoulder, and here is the neckline, and it should break out and go down, but it doesn't really break out much. So again, sometimes the patterns don't break out, sometimes they do. And let's see, for example, here's another one. Again, I'm on the 1 day time frame. And here is a good example of here's your head, here's your left shoulder, here's your right shoulder, and head, left shoulder, right shoulder, break out and goes down, right? And then let me show you this. It breaks out and goes down, and then it's followed by, here's a double bottom right here, and it goes up. So a double bottom there, and it goes up right there. Welcome to everyone who's joining. If you're wondering what you just stepped into, this is educational channel where we talk about everything U.S. markets, U.S. headlines. We make it fun, and we talk about not only the headlines, but also how to break it down on TradingView. Okay, so right now we're breaking down Meta, because Meta is in the news right now for having 4 new customized chips. And let's see, let me show you a couple other chart patterns before we move on. Again, you notice the trading volume goes up high, and there's a lot of price action. There's a couple of patterns for you. Now let me take you back over here to the fundamentals. Fundamentals, right now the volume has slowed down. You see here, the volume was high there, high there, high there, but right here, high trade volume but right now the trade volume is much lower because there's not much price action right there. And then right here, volume right now is at 1.6 million, market cap is 1.6 trillion. And as we go here to fundamentals, earnings wise, you have quarterly, you have annually, and you could look at both, but oftentimes you get more information from the annually. But if you're more of looking for the short term, quarterly can be helpful. So looking right here, you see Q4, the blue bar, which is what was actually received, is higher than what was actually expected. So that looks strong. However, for Meta on Q3, you see their actual earnings were much lower than they were supposed to get. Q2 is actually much higher. So, but that's just the quarterly. Go to the yearly, because that's mainly what you're looking for. 2025 as a whole, as a year, actually outperformed the expectations of Wall Street. Same thing with 2024 and 2023, same thing. So even though there were a couple bad quarters in there, overall as a year, the performance was better than the expectations, okay? Again, why do you care? What does this mean? Well, it just means that the earnings that the company actually pulled in were higher than what they were projected or expected to do. So possibly that could be something that the investors look at. You know, that could change the stock price, that could change many things. But there's many other things to look at, because you could have good earnings, and then, for example, maybe you don't have good profits or good income, stuff like that. So we're going to take a look at that too. This is just one piece of the puzzle. To all of you jumping in, welcome. We're looking at Meta right now on TradingView, and we're checking out the statements. This one actually looks pretty good. In this case, Meta's statements and Meta's earnings kind of line up. December for years 2023, 2024, and 2025. All the revenue, gross profit, income, operating income, net income, it's all green, all positive, except for the 2025's net income was red and negative. So again, that's looking good, and you can see how, for example, this one, if you look at the earnings, annual earnings, This one also looks good. They don't always look like that, is my point. Now let's go back here, back to the charts. And then Meta, yes, so we looked at Meta, and now let's take a look at Google. Now, why are we going to take a look at Google? Well, because Google it sells part of its stake in the fiber business and becomes a minority owner of the new venture. G Fiber is combining with Astound Broadband and forming an independent fiber provider. Also, another reason why we're looking at Google is because Google, just like Meta, has been developing their own in-house silicon to fill data centers as they seek an alternative to cost supply constrained GPUs from NVDA and AMD. So that's all in here as well. Welcome to everyone who's joining in, who's liking, who's following. If you have a question or you would like me to look at a ticker or a company, let me know. This is an educational channel. We don't make recommendations. We just share the information. So here it is. Let's take a look here at Google. Here's Google. This is the 1 minute chart, and here's Google. Google right here, and Google. Here, this is the 1 minute chart, and there's also the 1 day chart. So different patterns will show up at different times. Let's look here first at the 1 day chart. 1 day chart for Google right here. You'll see right now, you can see the relative strength index right there is sitting at about 41, still pretty neutral, and you can see that reflected right here in the price chart. Very neutral right here. And then also you'll see again, why do I say this is just a guide? The relative strength index is just a guide. Just look right here, it can go way over bought. It goes all the way up to 87, 88, and stays there for a while before it ever market corrects and comes down. So, and look at this chart right here. That is a massive, that is what we call a massive bull chart. It's just jumping up, charging up. There's that. How do you like my bull? If you like my bull, let me know. Look at this thing. It's a charging bull, and that's what that chart represents. The charging bull right there, you can see it just charging up. Yes, there it is. I'm trying to make this a little bit more entertaining and fun. There we go. Not to be outdone. And so there's that. Here we go. Let's look at a couple other price charts here. If I can, okay, that's the 1 day. Yeah, it doesn't do a whole lot right there. Let me go to the 1 minute and see what I can find there as far as price chart patterns go. Chart patterns. Here's one that kind of jumps out a little bit. Here's the head. Here's the left shoulder. Here's the right shoulder. Here's the head, left shoulder, right shoulder, and then there's the neckline breakout right there. It's hard to see, I know, but it's a small one. If you can see that, my little green circles, head, left shoulder, right shoulder, and then a small breakout right there. And then, let's see. Here we are. I just missed. Here is, where is it? Oh yeah, here it is. For example, here you'll see a double bottom right here. Yeah. So here, these two arrows right there, you can see a double bottom. The double bottom, it comes down and tries to go up, and then it loses momentum, and the buyers take over. There's that. And let's see. And then this is the 1 minute chart. Different things pop up. Let's see what we can find here. Yeah, that's why I say this one is different from the 1 day. You might see different patterns. Not that one is necessarily better than the other, but it helps you to find different patterns. Again, this is the 1 day, 1 minute. Let's go now to the fundamentals on Google. Welcome to everyone who's joining. Here we are. Alphabet completed a $32 billion Wiz acquisition. Wiz joins Google Cloud. And then for the volume right now, let me show you this. If you look at this volume chart, you'll see that some days, right here, some days the volume goes high, and some days the volume is lower, right? That's because of when there's more price action, there's also more price action, more volume. Less price action, less volume right there. Volume right now is at 282.86 million. Market cap is at 3.6 trillion. And then if we go here to the quarterly, annually fundamentals, this is the earnings. Look at both. Here is quarterly for Google Q4. If you look at the blue bars is what was actually received. The gray bars is what was expected or predicted. As you can see, Q4, Q3, Q2, all of them actually did better than expectations for the quarter. Annually, 2025 did better as a year. This is for the year now. Annually, the year was better. 2024, the year was better. In 2023, the year did better than expectations. So, to summarize, the last 3 years, annually, all of the earnings were actually surpassing expectations. So that looks good for the company versus what Wall Street thought it would do. Statements, go to statements. You'll see, click the annual button. Let me grab a drink here real quick. If you're enjoying the content, let me know. If you have a ticker that you want to ask about, let me know too. All right. So now we're looking at revenue, profit, and earnings. So here we go. This is Google's last 3 years of revenues, profits, earnings, 2023, 2024, and 2025. As you can see, it's all green, all looking good. Yeah, so there's that. Again, it doesn't always turn out that way. Sometimes you have great earnings and not so good revenue or not so good profit. In this case, the earnings and the profits and the revenue all turn out to be good. And let's go over here. So that was Google, okay? And let me erase these chart drawings patterns. That's Google. Let's go here to Amazon, okay? Amazon. Right here, Amazon. And Amazon. Why are we talking about Amazon? Because Amazon's in the headlines right now because Amazon has just partnered with Uber to reach more robotaxi drivers, first in Las Vegas and then in Los Angeles. Again, this is not a script, this is my own notes. I take copious notes of time every day to try to bring you the best news and headlines. So XAUUSD is the company from Amazon, and then you can see their toaster oven shaped car right there. I thought it was pretty cute. They're making their self-driving vehicles available through Uber. XAUUSD's deal with Uber is a sign of growing confidence in Amazon's ability to expand. Hey Sammy, how are you? Thanks for the likes. Welcome to the channel. Is a sign of growing confidence in Amazon's ability to expand after years of development, and marks the company's first tie-up with a third-party platform. And by the end of 2026, Uber aims to offer driverless rides in 15 cities. It already does in places like Atlanta and Texas and Phoenix. But I thought that was a pretty cool car, pretty neat, right? Maybe, maybe not. But having said that, let's go ahead and take a look here at Amazon and see what their charts are doing. There's the 1 minute, and here is Amazon. Amazon on the Here is Amazon. Here is Amazon on the 1 day. This is the 1 day for Amazon chart. Now, one thing I want to show you right with this really quick before I forget. Right here, you'll be able to see. This is the relative strength index right here. RSI is sitting here at 44.45. That's pretty neutral. And as you can see, it just recovered from being very oversold right there. Right there, and it bounced back up. You can see that right here. This is the price chart. It just came down, and now it's recovered, going back up in the price chart right there. Welcome, Sammy, Snoopy, Andrew. Welcome everyone. Hope you're enjoying this. We're looking at Amazon right now on TradingView because Amazon is in the news. And again, don't ever take these for face value. They're just guides, as I said. One of the price chart patterns that you can see, for example, with this one, let me circle it for you right here. This is your double top right there. And with the double top, this one does break out and go down right there. So double top, breakout, and goes down. And then let's see if I can show you another one real quick. It's better to find ones that break out, because sometimes these patterns don't break out. Here's one right here. You can see here's the double bottom, boom, boom, right here, double bottom, and it breaks out and goes up right there. Okay, and here is right here. And here is what we call the head, and the left shoulder, the right shoulder, and then this is the neckline, breakout going down, and then right there it breaks out and goes down. So there's the head and shoulders with neckline, breakout going down, and and then also, for example, if you're looking for another example, here is a head and shoulders right here. Here's your head, left side, right shoulder, and neckline breakout right there. And if you zoom in or spread these, zoom in or zoom out, you can see these things differently too, okay? Here's your head, left shoulder, right shoulder right there, neckline, head, left shoulder, right shoulder, neckline breakout, and this one also breaks out and goes down, bang, right there. And then right here, for example, you can see here's your double bottom breaks out and goes up a little bit, but not too much. Okay, so those are a couple chart patterns for you. This is the 1 day. Again, let me take this back to the beginning for you. Right here. Okay. So, and I'll erase these, and that way I want you to see this. Again, if you can see these little bars right here, these little bars represent the trading volume. So here you have a high bar, and here you have a high bar. That means there's more trading volume on those days. You can see there's more price action in the price chart there, okay? And if you want to see how the 1 minute chart compares, just go to the 1 minute chart, and you can see this does look a little bit different, right? But with that difference, you'll be able to see different chart patterns emerge, things like that. So keep that in mind. Now with Amazon, let's go over here to some of the fundamentals. Volume is at 10.3 million, market cap is at 2.2 trillion, and I'm getting this over here from this information right here. Again, right here, earnings wise, you have quarterly, quarterly Q4. Let me put my cursor on there, you can see it. Q4, as you can see, just missed expectations right there, and Q3 actually well surpassed expectations. Same with Q2. Now let's see how it did as a whole, as a year. Annually, 2025, you can see right here that reported earnings were higher than the expected earnings as a year. Same thing here. 2024, the reported earnings were higher than the expected earnings. 2023, same thing. So you can summarize by saying Amazon for the last 3 years, reported earnings were higher than expectations for the last 3 years. Yes. Now, again, how does that compare with the profits, the income, etc.? Let's take a look, because just because you have earnings doesn't mean you have profit. So statements go here annually. Looking at the last 3 years. So total revenue, gross profit, operating income, pre-tax income, net income. All of those are all green in the good for the last 3 years, and that's Amazon. So again, it doesn't always happen that way, but here is Amazon, and there's their earnings. So earnings also last 3 years were good, and so is their revenue, profit, and income. So having said that, if you're enjoying the content, let me know. If there's a ticker, if there's a company you want me to look up, you can let me know too. That was Amazon, and that. And Amazon, because of we looked at them because they have these new, they partnered up with Uber. Amazon is partnering up with Uber. Another thing we talk about really quickly, we can mention, is the CPI, Consumer Price Index. Basically, as we look here, Consumer Price Index rose 2.4% annually. 12-month inflation rate was 2.4%. Rose 0.1%, the smallest increase since January 2021. Food prices accelerated 0.4% and were up 3.1% from a year ago. Egg prices fell 3.8%, putting on an annual drop of 42.1%. Apparel, 1.3% monthly gain. Again, this is the Consumer Price Index. Some people call it the CPI, because basically many people don't believe these numbers and they can be fudged, so just bear that in mind. Another company that we want to look at is Accumulation. What is Accumulation? Well, just to let you know, Accumulation is a leading Australian American software company that creates products from software development, IT, and project management teams. Their tools, including project tracking, collaboration, visual organization, are designed to improve teamwork, speed up development, and manage IT services. So that's that. Accumulation right here slashes 10% of their workforce to self-fund investments in AI and enterprise sales. Okay. Now, what does that really mean? Well, 10% of its workforce is 1,600 jobs, and basically it's all because of AI. The company has lost more than half their value this year. Part of the software sell-off sparked by AI. The stock went up 1% after this, but again, that's just one more thing that AI is changing the world, and are we ready for it? Are you ready for it? Well, let's hear whether we're ready for it or not. So let's take a look at Accumulation. I believe that is, yes, here's Accumulation, and this is the 1 minute. Here is Accumulation. Here, and here's the 1 minute. Let me adjust these settings a little bit right here. There's that. Okay, here's Accumulation. Okay, first thing I want to point out right here, this is the 1 day, this is the 1 day chart, and this is the 1 minute chart right there. Okay, so here's 1 day, and I want to show you this. Right now the RSI is sitting here at 37. 37, you can see that right there, relative strength index. So again, you can see it. This market has been going down. That's Accumulation right there, and that's what we call the bear. The bear. This is the bear market. You can see right there, and right here you can see when there's more price action. There's more price action right here. There's also more trading volume. You see the trading volume right here. that represents because of the price action. And you see that the relative strength index kind of follows right there. That follows the chart as well. This slowly goes down. The RSI slowly goes down too. It's they kind of correlate with each other like that. And remember, they can be way overbought and way oversold before they ever market correct. So looking right here, see, it gets way overbought for a while, and then finally it drops. So again, the RSI is just a guide. It's just a guide. All right. And then now, if we go over here, let's look at some of these chart patterns. Let me erase this so it's easier to see. Yeah, so right here, here's a head, here's a left shoulder, here's a right shoulder, and then head, left shoulder, right shoulder, and it does drop down a little bit, but not too much, okay? And then right here, you can see right here, this is a double bottom, correct? Double bottom, and in the double bottom, you can see it goes up right there. All right. And right here, for example, here's a good one. If I zoom in, zoom out, you can kind of see this is a head, left shoulder, and a right shoulder, and there's that. You see that the neckline right there, and then bang, it comes down, breaks out from the neckline. So there's that. That's ablation. And if you go over here to the 1 minute, you'll be able to see different patterns that don't show up on the 1 day. For example, if you go over here, here is this one right here. Head, left shoulder, right shoulder. Here's your breakout. Here's your head, left shoulder, right shoulder, and you can see it breaks out right there. And then also you can see, for example, here's also a reverse head, left shoulder, head, left, right, reverse head and shoulders, and then up and there. Now let's go into the fundamentals of ablation, okay? So there's that. Oh, here's I wanted to show you this one too. I didn't see this before, but here's a double top right here, double top, and right here, double top, and then it doesn't break out too much, but it does come down a little bit. So there's that. And also, here's another double top right there. You see my blue lines, double top right there, okay? Going back here to the beginning, let's go over here to, here we are. Now, earnings, let's go to the volume is at 2.79. Market cap is at 20.16 billion. And if we go here to the earnings report, let's check out the earnings report. Now there's quarterly, like I said, quarterly, and there's annually, both. Looking here at Q2, beat expectations. You see the blue bar is higher than the gray bar, so it beat expectations. Also Q1, higher than the expectations. So the last 3 quarters for Accumulation were higher than expected, but let's see how it did annually. Right here, annually for Accumulation, 2025, you can see it beat the expectations for the year. So for example, the earnings were higher than what Wall Street thought they would do, so they look strong. Same with 2024 and same with 2023. So even though Accumulation might have a bad chart in some places, like right here, um, right now for 2025, 2024, and 2023, their earnings reports were better than Wall Street's expectations for them. So bear that in mind. Now let's look at how the statements, the profits, the revenues, and the earnings, how do they work out? Well, for example, right here, 2025 and 2024. Let's look at them both. So 2024 and 2025 were all green, all good, except for in 2025, you had negative operating income and negative pre-tax income, okay? Now in 2023, it was all green, all good, except for operating income. So bear that in mind, keep that in your mind when you're looking at the information that you want to use for your strategy. That's something you can look at. Again, there's the statements with the revenues and the profits, and then there's also earnings, the earnings report, okay? So there's that. Back to the chart, let me erase these squiggles, and that's adulation, and we're looking at adulation because they just slashed 10% of the workforce. Yeah. So another one that we can look at is talk about Google. We can talk about oil too. Oil prices just touched $100 a barrel as things are changing in the Persian Gulf. Let's see. Basically, just wanted to show you that. That's a quick headline. We can take a look here at oil. Oil futures right here, and as you would expect, that's a 1 minute chart, so it's going up. Here's also the 1 day chart for oil right here. Bang, look at that. As you can see right here, this is the 1 day chart for oil. Look at that, and the RSI is also going straight up right there. So there's the price as the RSI going straight up. Yeah, and let me hold on 1 second. What happened to my, there it is. So there's that. Let me bring this down. And then oil. Okay. Yeah. So there's oil. You can see how that's, I just wanted to show you that. And right now, yeah, it's about at 100. Yeah. US oil is at 96.31. So it's almost right there at 100. So bear that in mind. Yeah. And just hold on a second. So now that's oil. Now another one that we have to talk about is Nebius. Why are we going to talk about Nebius? Because Nebius, their stock just jumped up 14% on NVIDIA's $2 billion investment announcement. Yeah, so NVIDIA just invested $2 billion in Nebius, and let me give you a little bit more info about what Nebius is. Nebius, you could say right here, is a Netherlands-based AI, artificial intelligence, native cloud platform specializing in providing high-performance GPU infrastructure for training and deploying artificial intelligence models. Formerly part of Yandex, and it builds large-scale AI factories and providing cloud services, recently securing a major $2 billion partnership with NVIDIA. So here we are, where is it? Nebius right here. Yeah, they just got $2 billion from NVIDIA. They will collaborate on AI infrastructure design and support, and NVIDIA will also give Nebius early access to the newest generation computing platform. Again, this is not a script. This is my notes for the day. I spent lots of time on this, and they will deploy more than 5 gigawatts of capacity by 2030. Together, they are scaling cloud to meet global demand for AI. So yeah, that's Nebius right there, okay? So let's take a look here. We're gonna plug Nebius into TradingView, and let's see, here we go. Nebius. Yeah, all right. Let me adjust these. Here, okay. This is the 1 day chart for Nebius, and this is the 1 minute chart for Nebius right here. And for example, looking at on the 1 day, you'll see Nebius the relative strength index down here at 40, 43, 40. You can see it was up here and then it dropped and then it rebounded. It rebounded and recovered right there. The same thing with the price chart. You can see it right there. Again, keep in mind the RSI is just a guide, because it can be way, way, way overbought before it ever actually market corrects and comes down. And then right here, to show you a price chart that's interesting. For example, right here, here's your head, here's your left shoulder, here's your right shoulder, head, left shoulder, right shoulder, and then here is your neckline right there. And it does break out a little bit, but not too much, okay? And let's see. Also, I want to show you this. When you have more trading volume, that's also because you have more price action right here. See the price chart right there? There's more trade volume right there as well. For all of you joining, welcome, welcome. This is the channel where we talk about everything U.S. headlines, U.S. markets, and we try to make it fun and interesting. Right now we're talking about Nebius on TradingView. We're breaking it down. If you have a ticker you want me to look at, let me know to analyze. Okay, here's your one-day chart. Done. Okay, and here is your double bottom. Here's your double bottom, and the price chart goes up right there. Okay. Also, I want to show you this one, because this is a big one. Here is your done. Here's your head. Here's your left side. Here's your right side. Here's your head. Here's your head, left side, right side, head and shoulders chart right there. Okay. And yeah. And this one does, you can see this one does actually break out from the neckline and go down. All right. So that's Accumulation, and this is the 1 day time frame. If you look at it, let me show you this on the one. Here's the 1 minute. Here's the 1 minute time frame. As you can see, things do look different, but you can use that to your advantage. You can see different chart patterns. Okay. For example, right now when you're looking at the recent chart pattern, you'll see right here. This is basically a good example of consolidation right there. Right here, consolidation, continuation. You see the invisible ceiling or the invisible resistance, the invisible support right there, and it matches right up there with the RSI. So that's what when they talk about the resistance and support or the consolidation, that's what they mean right there. And having said that, let's go. Oh, here's one I can show you. This one kind of jumps out, not so much, but a little bit. It's not as obvious here, but you see a little bit of a head right here, left shoulder and right shoulder. That's your head and shoulders there, and it goes down a little bit. Let's go over here. Yeah, for example, right here, it's kind of hunched over. It's not as clear, but you have the head, left shoulder, and the right shoulder, and there's your neckline breakout. Okay. Now, fundamentals wise, volume is at 5.8 million. Let me show you that. Okay. Down 5.8. Yeah. The volume is not very high right now because there's not much price action. Okay. Market cap is at 27.2 billion. And then we go here to some of the fundamentals where you can see the earnings report. Okay. Now, what do you see here? If you look here for Nebius, the last 3 quarters were not very good. The last 3 quarters, I'm sorry, were pretty good. Even though they were in the negative, they were less negative than the expectations. So even though they were negative, the earnings did better than Wall Street thought they would. That's for the quarter though. For annually, 2025, look there, the earnings were more negative than the expectations. Here, super more negative than expectations. The only year that did good was 2023 for the earnings, so bear that in mind, okay? 2023 was okay for the earnings. Statements, not much better. If you look at the statements, 2025 was all negative except for total revenue was green in the profits, but negative gross profit, negative operating income, negative pre-tax income, and negative net income for 2025. Okay, so and then 2024, basically very similar. Net income was negative, pre-tax income was negative, operating income was negative, gross profit was positive, and so is total revenue. But that was that. Yeah, so that's looking at Nebius, and again you can see here they're on it's their bear market right now. They're going down, but maybe that 2 point, for example, they just got the investment right from NVDA. No, this is at Accumulation. Where is Accumulation? Yeah, Accumulation right here, just slashed 10% because yeah. So they had a 1% gain. That's okay. The 1% gain is this thing right there. That's the 1%. Okay. Now, having said that, and all of you who gave me a like and gave me a comment or gave me a share, I appreciate it. And everyone else, thank you for watching. I'll be here at the same time tomorrow. Have a great day.